Welcome to the Campfire. Today we are taking a deep dive into District 10-5A Division II. The teams in this district are Brenham, Rudder, Huntsville, Montgomery, Lake Creek, Randall, and Lamar Consolidated. Let's start off by analyzing these teams in our film session. Lake Creek went undefeated during the regular season and averaged over 50 points a game on offense. And if you listen to Coach Pat Kennedy, they might be more explosive in 2023. As much as that's hard to believe, take into consideration that 2,500-yard rusher Tyvon Byers returns, as well as first-team All-District receiver Sam Lee. Eli Morco steps in at quarterback to replace Cade Tessier, and Kennedy feels he won't miss a beat. Crosstown rival Montgomery managed to make the playoffs last season with just 3 wins on the year. They may need more W's to make the postseason this year, which is why they are depending a lot on District Newcomer of the Year Reggie Williams to lead the way at quarterback. Richmond Randall had an admirable first season in a varsity district. The Lions went 4-6 on the year and 2-4 in district play. They will continue to grow and gain experience, and they should make a play for a postseason spot. Lamar Consolidated also went 2-4 in district play, as their main concern was scoring points. They averaged 13 points per game in district play. Watch out for Brenham this year. They finished second in the district, and Cartel Brown could be an under-the-radar type running back for the Cubs. Huntsville could also build off a 4-7 season with help from standout corner Isaiah Collins, while Brian Rudder will try to pick up a win in district play in 2023. For an even deeper look at 10-5A Division II, here's producer Ward Fasold and Houston Chronicles' John Poorman with the district breakdown.
All right, it's district breakdown time, 10-5A Division II. We got Houston Chronicles' John Poorman with me. John, we're going to talk about 10-5A Division II, but we're probably mostly going to talk about Lake Creek and the assault they put on the offensive stat category last year. Heck, I think only 2 games they didn't score 6 touchdowns or more, and they had a solid season, and they're bringing back one of the best running backs in this area in Ty Byers. Talk about how they may conquer this district again, or is somebody going to give them a run?
Yeah, when you look at what they did last year, an absolutely historic season for Lake Creek, which is still a young program. I believe they played their first varsity season in 2018 or somewhere around there, but yeah, Coach Pat Kennedy, he knows all about winning from his time as defensive coordinator at the Woodlands. He really came into this Lake Creek program and instilled a lot of those same values and those same concepts that we saw the Highlanders have so much success with over the years. As you mentioned, they bring back one of the top players in the Houston area in Tyvon Byers, who had a just mind-boggling sophomore season. It's hard to believe he's only a sophomore because he's, about 5'11", 205, 210 pounds. He's a big kid, a solid kid, runs through tackles, can break away in the open field.
Maybe talk about some of those other teams that are in that district.
Yeah, Garza was really impressive for them at the quarterback position, put up some good numbers. Coach Brian Randall, he's obviously very big on culture and trying to build a program. Obviously, this is a legacy thing for him. The high school is named after his father, so, this is a big deal, and I think he's done a great job. It's always a challenge opening a new program and kind of starting from the bottom, but I think that they have a chance to make some noise this year, especially with, the amount of returning players they're going to have. That's going to be a huge advantage with those kids getting, a year of varsity experience under their belt.
I will talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
We'll post the entire breakdown segment this Wednesday on our social media pages. Now let's take a look at some game changers and our players on the rise presented by Parker University. We've got to start at running back and reigning district MVP Tyvon Byers from Lake Creek. Ty, as he likes to be called, rushed for almost 2,500 yards and 37 touchdowns as just a sophomore last year. He weighed in at 195 last year, and Coach Pat Kennedy says he put on another 10 pounds this past season, making him even harder to bring down. Byers is one of those running backs that once he gets through the first line of the defense, it's over. Lake Creek also returns first-team All-District receiver Sam Lee. He's a big play receiver as most of his catches went for big yardage. Lee caught 26 balls for 532 yards and 8 scores for an average of over 20 yards per reception. Sam will be hoping to make the most of his last season playing football as he committed to Arkansas to play baseball after he graduates. As a junior in a first-year varsity program, Leo Garza certainly stood out at quarterback. The Randall gunslinger threw for just about 2,000 yards and 23 touchdowns for the Lions. Garza will look to top that stat line in 2023 as he hopes to lead Randall to their first ever postseason appearance. At defensive end for the Randall Lions, Curtis John Miller is always in hot pursuit of the ball carrier. He was a first-team All-District selection as a junior as he finished second in the district in sacks with 5. John Miller never gives up on a play and fights through numerous blocks to make a tackle. Look for his numbers to rise as a senior. Our Ward Fasol caught up to Lake Creek head coach Pat Kennedy to talk about his Lions in our Media Day segment.
All right, it's Media Day. We're talking 10-5A Division II, and we are lucky enough to be joined by the reigning Coach of the Year in that district, Pat Kennedy from Lake Creek. Coach, before we talk about this year, man, I got to talk about last year. I know it's a relatively new school, but the records you must have set offensively in last year's deal, where in all your games, I mean, you, except for 2 of them, you scored 6 touchdowns at least. Just the fun it was to coach that offensive and defensive group.
So last year, you know, we had a senior quarterback, Cade Tessier, who's a POW at PWO at Baylor. Came back. He was healthy from the year before. I mean, he was fantastic. We have the sophomore running back, Tyvon Byers. The offensive line was really, really good. Sam Lee, the receiver, was a junior, had some big plays. Kaysen Puska, a senior, stepped up and played really well. I think we ended up scoring about 53 points a game on average. I mean, I was a defensive coach for a long, long time, and I finally figured out that offense is a lot easier to coach because, you know, just get the ball in the hands of playmakers and let them go make plays. Now, you know, that being said, we got to do a little better job this year in some spots on defense that we had, because we gave up. We had some games where we got into offensive shootouts, and that's kind of how that went. You know, you go from trying to hold people to 17, 24 points, and that's hard to do because everybody's got guys. So then you got to turn around and just try to score with them, and then just try to wear them out, and so they can't score with you. So that's kind of how we went about it. We onside kicked a little bit more than most people. We went for 2 a little bit. You know, I kind of got into that data analysis and crunching numbers and stuff, and that's kind of how we got started trying to score points. Now we've kind of revamped it this off season, so we'll see how it goes. We start spring football today. So.
We can't wait to be out there with our cameras, see what you got going on.
All right, thank you.
You can catch the entire interview Friday on our social media channels. That's going to do it for this week's Campfire. Next week, we move up to 5A Division I and talk 8-5A. Until then, have a great week, everybody.